I want to talk about self satisfaction. The human mind is designed to create situations that satisfy our needs, our wants, hungers, passions, aspirations, and dreams. Everything you do your entire life will be driven by your own self satisfying desires. Even the most benevolent deeds are self satisfying because they make you feel good about yourself. This is why self esteem is so important and vital to the progress of humankind. Actions driven by self satisfaction can be used to make the world a better place, or they can cause the slow disintegration of the masses. Those who have low self esteem are often driven to satisfy their self serving urges with no regard for others, while a person with an overinflated ego may trample on those who are weak or powerless. A healthy, well balanced sense of self worth gives us a belief that we're good, which gives us motivation to be good and to do good. So, being an interdependent world, we see that no one can live without being affected by the actions of others. Though we are each growing at our own pace spiritually, mankind is also progressing as a whole. The values, beliefs, and attitudes that society upholds become our values, beliefs, and attitudes. Entirely dependent on each other, it could even be said that the person or group who selfishly uses their wealth and power to repress the masses is also stifling the growth of the human race. So you see, if most of us are struggling to satisfy our basic needs of survival, then we can't progress to the level of personal fulfillment and then to the top level of wisdom and enlightenment. The middle level of growth is where inventions are made, theories are discovered, and ideas are born. At the top level of enlightenment and wisdom, we can only imagine what we could accomplish. Greed and the pursuit of power in the hands of a few retards the progress of humanity worldwide, keeping most people at the bottom level of basic survival. Sadly, those who concern themselves only with numbers on a bank statement are myopic in the grand scheme of the universe. More money doesn't mean more intelligence. Sometimes it means less consciousness. However, each individual person must take responsibility for their contribution to the state of the world today, which is a direct result of the sheep mentality. Most people don't want to think for themselves, so they get a job where someone else tells them what to do. They settle for employment that allows them to use their mental capacity as little as possible. The less challenged, the better. Now, I'm guessing if you're here and you're listening to this, you're not one of those people, because those people would never sign up to take a class called Find Your Excellence. And likewise, many people go to church to be told what to believe. They don't read the Bible or whatever spiritual tome is the source of their religion. Instead, they allow someone else to interpret for them, arguably the most important relationship they have in their life. Quoting passages from the Bible doesn't make you religious or spiritual. Living the principles of its teaching is what does. The point is to live your life for yourself, thus participating fully in every experience. Most of us don't even question injustices unless they have a direct effect on our lives. We see the news, oh, that's terrible, and then we move on. How can we watch this and not become impassioned daily? How can we check out when we hear about the inequalities and the wrongs of the world? Somewhere along the way, life became too complicated to live with integrity in every circumstance, so we pick and choose our battles. As we've gotten further and further away from living honorably, we've sunk into a hole that is very steep and very deep. We're now suffering the consequences of choosing what appeared to be the easy way of life. Making choices that seem to be the easiest often brings great difficulty down the road. In examining the history of the past several centuries, you would think that we all should have progressed beyond the superficial, self-serving way of life that excludes others. Haven't we learned that it is much more rewarding to contribute to the progress of mankind than to the detriment of the masses? By now, shouldn't those rules of life be ingrained into our DNA so we can move to the next level of wisdom and enlightenment? How is it that so many of us are not growing and evolving spiritually? We observe social graces and we use manners as a civilized way of interacting with others, which makes life more pleasant. We're taught to work hard, do the right thing, and will be rewarded with a comfortable lifestyle and fulfilling sense of purpose. However, this type of lifestyle has also brought upon us as a society that is full of contradictions, which have contributed to the upset of our moral compass and the repression of personal growth. For example, we now celebrate people for simply being known. If everyone knows your name, then you are worshiped and adored, even if you've done nothing of value. Fame in itself is very dangerous territory for even those who have unshakable self esteem. When we hand it to those who are weak and undeserving, they often self destruct. The accumulation of wealth has become a source of power for those who crave it, often with self serving intentions. Money can buy almost anything these days, including the power of those who we elect and trust to protect our best interest. We seem to have forgotten that there is no virtue in having loads of wealth if you're not going to do good with it. Another irony in our culture is expecting fidelity when we flaunt sexuality so blatantly. As we have rejected sexual repression, we've also created a world with temptation in almost every fiber of our society. To expect fidelity and marriage to survive in this type of hedonism is not utterly impossible, but it's often unrealistic. And we should decide, maybe marriage isn't the ultimate goal for our families. Maybe that's not what we want. In our superficial nature, we now toss aside anyone who isn't young and beautiful. Age and wisdom are no longer treasured resources in many circumstances. We have placed so much emphasis on youth and beauty that we take drugs and get surgery to change our natural appearance. The biggest disappointment is that age will still creep in, and we fret that some things can't be changed even with the most powerful drugs or skilled surgery. Our superficial and shallow way of life has replaced wisdom, talent, love, and honor with the pursuit of fame at the cost of principles, desperation for wealth, irreverence for sex, and celebration of vanity. The lesson to learn is that true happiness always comes from within. Worship of fame, sex, greed, and vanity has smothered our desire for personal growth and left us feeling empty and unfulfilled. As a society, we must create an environment where everyone feels secure and has the opportunity to satisfy their basic needs. Opportunities, not handouts, must be equal for all before we can pursue personal growth and progress as a species. Much of our inner turmoil will not be put to rest until we change society as a whole. Seeing injustice all around us every day will impede our own personal growth, which is why we must work passionately to reach the level of wisdom and enlightenment. Then we can help others find their way. So I don't mean this to sound as a preachy lecture, but it really is something to think about and something that I have observed in my own life. I've lived in Hollywood, I've been superficial, I've flaunted my sexuality. I also grew up, a very strict Christian. So I've been on all sides of it. And I really think, religion is up to the individual, but spirituality is something that is a part of all of us. And we should really aim to become our best. And that's one of the catalysts for me creating this course, is sharing with others how I found my voice, learn to not care what other people think, and learn to become the best person that I can be, who also cares about other people. So I hope, I hope you'll understand, again, that I'm not meaning to preach to anyone or to influence anyone's thoughts of our culture and what it's supposed to be. But I truly think, we don't live on an island by ourselves. We live in a world, a social world with other people. So until we understand each other and understand and care about other people too, we'll never have our own personal satisfaction.